What's up, YouTube? I'm Taylor, and this is my weekly comic book review show. It's where I go over the comic books I picked up this week and let you know what I thought of them. I usually go in the order of worst to best, so stick around and let me know if you'd agree with my order and my decisions. Also, this is 2 weeks worth of books, so I got a lot to go through. Yeah. I normally go live and then just sort of talk with the audience at the end of it all. And that might be sort of what it looks like I'm doing right now, but this is technically a private broadcast. So ignore the StreamYard logo on the top. And yeah, you didn't miss anything. I'm not actually live. There won't be any chat to read in the replay, but I'm going to record this privately, and then I'll put it live later on, or put it to public viewing later on. It's a little bit cheating, and yes, I probably should pay for StreamYard, but I've had such issues with their audio and stuff lately that I'm just going to keep using this free version for a while and, I don't know, deal with it, I guess. But yeah, anyways, these are the comics. Let's just get into it. I've got a lot of them to go through. And if you agree with my picks, great. If not, great. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to have a discussion with you, and let me know if I'm missing books, or if you know, there's something I should be reading that I'm not, or you're loving something I hate, just let me know. And if you like the stuff I'm doing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It helps. I'm going to probably do a pretty big giveaway at 1,000 followers. Is sort of what I'm thinking now. I've got a ways to go before I hit that. But, you know, one can dream. It's 2021. Anything's possible. This year's perfect. And nothing bad has happened yet this year, right? Yeah, okay. I'm recording this on Thursday, the 7th, and it's a tire fire already, folks. Oh, hey, see, look, my phone's talking to me. But yeah, we can all agree this year's a tire fire already. Okay, enough of that. Comics. Worst to best. And I'm going to probably have to hold these because they're just flying all over the place because I bagged and boarded them first. This is Iron Man and Dr. Doom, the King in Black tie-in. It's a one-shot, thankfully. I don't think they're doing any more of this. It's a weird Christmas book that came out after Christmas. I don't know if it was like a scheduling error or release error or something. You know, everything got pushed back because of the Rona. But, man, no, none of this is necessary. It's weird. It's not a well-told story. It's not even a well-told Christmas story. And granted, I mostly hate Christmas stories. Yeah, I'm a Grinch. I don't care. Whatever. But skip it. Seriously, no need at all. All right, moving on. Another one you should probably skip. It's DC's Future State, the Flash book. I don't know. It's the Flashes have no. This is a little spoilery, but the main Flashes is Flash Eye. What's the plural of Flashes? Flashings? Flashers? Flashers. The main Flashers have no speed force or speed thingy, whatever they use to make them fast. And Wally West is now evil, but he's still fast. It's a dumb story. It's just stupid. Some of the Future State books are okay. They're later in this list. This one is not. It's just not a good story. I don't recommend it. No. Okay. This one is a random pickup. I hadn't heard anything about it. I just sort of saw it. I was like, well, that looks kind of interesting. It's got a bug guy on the cover. The Wrong Earth, Night and Day. Okay. Bug guys get switched. One bug guy goes to the good planet. One goes to the evil planet. There was a show on Stars with a Z. Something like this. What was it called? Conspiracy? No, I can't remember what it's called. But it starred, what's his face? J. Jonah Jameson. Names are hard. Remembering shows is hard. But anyways, that show is great. Much better show. This comic is not great. It's trying. And I'm giving them credit for trying, and I give them credit for what could be an interesting idea, but it's just not. I don't know. I'm not going to follow up on it. Anything else would be a little bit spoilery, but there's just not much of a story to spoil, to be honest, either. Yeah, I don't know. Skip it. All right. Superman. This is the other DC Future State book. Obviously, it's DC Future State. Superman of Metropolis. Yeah. This is like Clark Kent's kid, I think. I don't know. Yeah, probably. making a really dumb decision. And without spoiling it much, he bottles up Metropolis because there's a threat coming and everyone gets mad at him for it because it's a really dumb idea. And it's a dumb story about a dumb idea. There's some backup stuff in here that's not bad. There's Mr. Miracle story that's okay, or the start of Mr. Miracle story that's okay. And then there's a really kind of muddily told story at the end of it all. It's a lot of money for these, too. Like this one, I think was more, $6. DC's all over the map on pricing with these. This is a $6 book. I'm a big Mr. Miracle fan, and this is like the second Mr. Miracle, or reintroducing the second or third or fourth. I don't know. Still not going to follow. Just no. Okay. Speaking of DC not having a plan and not knowing what the hell they're doing with any of their comics, Generation Shattered. It's a muddled mess. They're trying to patch together stuff they didn't use. Like they weren't planning on doing they were planning on, I think, Future State being a real thing and having it be like the next step of DC and like really trying to take a gamble, which would have been interesting and would have been possibly great down the line. But I think they were too chicken shit to go forward with it. This is, I think, supposed to be the intro to that and lead into that and have it be the ongoing new status quo for DC. Instead, they're making the Future State thing like a 2-month event, and then they're probably just going to go back to regular titles because they're DC. And they'll be mostly dull because they're DC. And I don't hate all of DC, but just I hate what they've been doing lately. And this, I think, was a bunch of different creators and artists and stuff getting together to try and do like transitional stuff. And it was supposed to be, I think my best guess is it was supposed to be individual comics and stories and whatnot. And they just try to patch it together into this $10 mess. There's nothing in here that's great. You don't need it. It's not essential. It's Commandi, the last boy on Earth, going to gather up superheroes, and he gets all the wrong ones because he doesn't know what he's doing. So there you go. I just gave you $10. Okay, this was from last week. It was a cover by Nick Spencer. Has been annoying the hell out of me on Spider-Man. I stopped reading him a couple issues ago, and this kind of reinforces that. It's the end of the Kindred-y story, but it's not. It's just there's nothing fancy that really happens in this issue except for maybe a character might bite it, but I don't think they do because it's Marvel. And I know it's just complaining about DC. And okay, great cover. I love the cover. I actually ordered 2 of the Virgin variants of this cover, pure cover buy, and I might hold on to it for the cover, or if you're really interested in it, let me know. Because what's inside, it doesn't hold up. All right. Miles Morales Spider-Man. This isn't horrible. The art's really kind of simplistic and cartoony. Not cartoony, just, kind of cartoonish, but not exaggerated cartoony, more like animated. Just like not, but not in a truly masterful way like some of the older artists could pull it off, like Alex Toth or Steve Rude or some of those guys. It's not bad. It's Miles Morales sort of dealing with the aftermath of the last issue, sort of, but just kind of distracting himself and going out and doing other stuff, which I get. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's average. If you like what they've been doing with the story so far, you'll probably enjoy this. It's kind of a fillery issue. So this is an older one I just picked up just because I did dig the cover, and I'd been on the fence about it for a while. And I was like, well, I'll pick it up. It has potential. It's kind of, instead of making John Walker evil, he's more just kind of inept. And he's a U.S. patriot. And I don't know, there's an intro of some other character in here who's not really nameless, or not really named. And good cover. Maybe the story gets better. It's not awful. It's just not great. And I'm trying to like limit myself to greatness. Or at least like gripping and entertaining, and really holds my interest. As you can, I have this giant stack, and I can't keep spending all this money on these giant stacks of books. So I'm cutting down a bit, and this one's not going to make the cut, unfortunately. Okay, King of Black: Return of the Valkyries. Again, not bad. I just don't know what the heck's going on. I mean, they're trying to save the Soul of Sentry, who got killed in King of Black 1. There you go. Spoilers a bit again. Sorry about that. But like, there's 2 different Valkyries going on, and the art's not clear enough to really always tell the difference. And the character design's not really different enough to tell the difference. So you kind of get lost trying to figure out who's who in this story. It might get better. It's Jason Aaron, and Jason Aaron has the potential to write great stuff. He does, but the stuff he's been doing lately for Marvel, I just don't dig. This is also one of those. It's like, okay, it's average, but his Avengers run is also average, and I'm not into it. I'd rather, like, I know he can do great stuff. His Thor run was fantastic. This is not. Sorry, I think it's Aaron, right? Yeah, it is Aaron. Okay. All right. This was another one from last week. Ghost Rider: Return of Vengeance. There's a more evil-ish Ghost Rider trapped in hell named Vengeance, and this is his quest to get out. It's fine. It's what's his face? The guy that sort of co-created Doug Mahnke, I think, and it sort of reads like an older comic written by like the previous generation of writers. And I'm middle-aged, and whatever. Me talking like this is kind of hypocritical, but it's just kind of the storytelling just kind of feels a little bit outdated with it, and the methods they use just kind of feel a little outdated. It's not bad. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I mean, I think it was a one shot. It might not be. They might have tested it with the sales to see if they're going to continue with it. I kind of doubt they will. I don't think there's a lot of legs to it unless they just add this character as a side character to some book called Ghost Riders with a Z or something to make it extra tough and extra spiky. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, what we got here? A Future State, the next Batman #1. I enjoyed 2/3 of this. There's mostly 2/3. Yeah, there's the main story by Ridley is great. And I know people have kind of been knocking on it a bit, but I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the coloring and the art and everything else on it. This is one of the priciest. This is probably the priciest one. Yeah, it's a $9 book. You have to use your judgment as far as whether or not it's worth it for you. The other two stories in here are fine. Not horrible, but fine. There's a Katana story, and then there's a is this the one? Hang on, I have to actually pull it up and look. I read so many of these Future State books this week that like they all kind of blend together. Yeah, there's the Arkham Knights, I think they're whatever they're called. Something Arkham, and it's like bad guys hiding from the magistrate. And the magistrate now runs things apparently in this part of DC Future State, and all masked heroes are outlawed, and villains, obviously, and so masks outlawed, and these are different facets of trying to deal with it. The middle Katana story, there's nothing much to it. It's kind of dull. The third one the last part has some interesting bits. It's got like the villains like Two-Face and Clayface and lots of faces. And a couple others. The radioactive guy with the skeleton-y thingy. I can't remember his name. I'm not going to open it up again. I don't care that much. Yeah, I'll see where it goes. But again, I like the first issue. The next Batman himself, I kind of dug. And I know not everybody feels that way, and I don't want to spoil who it is, but, you can find out for yourself. It's all over the internet. So look on the internet, people. It's all there for you. Venom 32. This is the direct follow-up to the last issue / the King in Black and what's going on. It's an Eddie Brock story yet. They introduced a character at the end, reintroduced a character at the end, so this might be a spec, what the kids call a spec book. It's not bad. It's all just internal strife and struggle with Eddie, like making up for pastness and pushing on. It's sort of, I think the last issue and this issue could have been combined into one issue. There's just not enough meat to both of them to really stretch it out as far as they did. I think they really are just stretching it out for scheduling to try to get it to tie into King in Black the right way, or where it makes sense. Well drawn. I like what they did at the end. You're like, oh, okay, but you could have probably skipped last issue. Let's put it that way. All right, the new one, the spec of all speckity specs this week. Star Wars: The High Republic. This is Star Wars pre-Star Wars. Or pre the movies, pre anything else. It's, the Jedi are running things, and they're obviously flawless and, in charge of things and on the side of right and good. And this is a young Padawan trying to earn her Jedihood. Can't remember the names. The new Star Wars names are just tough. I just, until you hear them on screen or something, I just can't remember them all. So she's the Padawan. He's the Jedi. He's her master. Don't know who the heck that is. Oh, yeah, that's another Jedi. That's the Jedi Queen, Jedi Princess. Decent. I'll keep it up to see where it goes. I mean, we're in the decent part of the stack now. The next few books are decent. They're not fantastic, but they're not horrible. This is not fantastic, but it's not horrible. I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it because, you never know. Like, there's books these Star Wars books right now that are $10 books. like 6 months ago that I was selling for $1,000. So I'd be stupid not to like at least have a subscription to this and see. Well, you never know, and that's what this is. It's like, well, you never know. It might be a good story. It might be kind of bad, but you never know, and it's worth getting just because you never know which character will be hot and what they'll decide to like tie into some series or movie or something like that. So, and that's the nature of comics nowadays, which is kind of interesting and bad and good and all that. That's a topic for another video. But all right, Origins number 2. Somebody told me to read this. I can't remember who. I read the first one and I really didn't care for it. There wasn't much to it. This is better. And that person said, hey, yeah, second issue is better. You should give it a chance. And I said, well, I'll give it a chance if you give We Live a chance. And so we gave the other books a chance. I think it was Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics. I think, Rob, if you watch this and you get this far in it, let me know if it's you. If not, and you happen to watch my reviews, let me know which one of you said that. This is decent. It sort of explains things a little bit better as far as what's going on. Okay, this is like good enough. I might stick with it. The first issue did not grab me. I had no interest in like sticking with it. This is another post-apocalyptic comic, and there are so many of those out right now that you really just have to be like have a different take on it or have something fantastic for me to keep going. This is borderline. It's not bad. I actually dig the art enough that might be enough to carry it for a little bit for me. The story, it's good. It's not fantastic, but it's good. And so it'll probably make my cutoff list for next week or next issue at least. All right. X-Men number, I don't know, what number is this? 16. This is post X of Swords or 10 of Swords or whatever. Do not make me think of how to name events or like how to pronounce events. It's just annoying. That event was annoying. It had potential to be great, and this is the aftermath of it. There's 2 islands, Krakoa and Araco, I think, and they're supposed to come together and make one big island, but they're not, and this is why. And it's got Cypher in it, who I dig, and there's some of the newer characters, and it's sort of, I think it's another setup issue as far as like, hey, this is going to be the new status quo for a bit, and I liked it better than a lot of the X of Swords event issues. I like the art on it. It's what's his face? Noto. Noto's pretty decent on the X-Men. And I like Hickman's writing on it. It's Hickman. He's got these long game plans for it. But I just this is one of those issues where a little more could have happened to make it a little bit more short game interesting. But it's not bad. All right. Another DC Future State. This is Rom V. And I can't remember the person. Perkins on the art. I think this takes place in a different time period than the other Future State things. And that's part of what makes this Future State stuff such kind of a little bit of a mess, is it's not all like 10 years in the future. It's just sort of like jumps all over into the future. And then, which I get why they're not making it into a universe, because it'd be really convoluted and kind of annoying to try and do. But this is just like a future Swamp Thing post-humanity. And so the Swamp Thing keeps making more Swamp Things, and his goal is looking for humans, and that's what's going on in here. It's interesting. It's not, again, it's not crazy gripping, but it's on the border. It's okay. Kaiju Score number 2. This is another one from last week. About a heist movie. It is. It's Ocean's 11 meets Godzilla, and it's or pick your pick of any of the kaiju movies. I am enjoying this. I like the first issue better, but this is good. It's good, not great. The cartooniness art still kind of doesn't always work for what's going on in here. And that kind of reminds me of Chew, the CHEU or CHU, either series. And this is where the plan starts to go awry, as capers do. It's a bank robbery caper or a robbery caper centered around a giant monster, a kaiju. And it's starting to like fall into place. I think it's a miniseries. I'm not sure how many issues there are. But yeah, this is where it all starts to unravel. They probably could have had one more issue of things going right before it unraveled. Timing-wise is kind of how I would have probably done it, but it's decent. And it's surprisingly better than I thought it would be after the first issue. And it's not, the quality's still okay. It's not, I just wish it would maybe be a little bit better this issue. But I'll keep picking it up. All right, Kanto 2, The Hollow Man. This one just stays on my pull list for some reason. I keep getting too lazy to tell my comic shop to cancel it. But I'm actually happier with this issue than I was with the last couple. The pacing seems to be getting a little bit better. One of my big issues with Kanto is like some of the story elements aren't earned, and some of the character development stuff just not earned, and like it's not told in the story, or they'll like explain away things in one page where it really needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. This is better at that. This is more of like Kanto going on and sort of like the setup for what's going to be the next issue. I think the next issue is going to be the last, possibly, of this arc. Maybe not. It feels like it should be, but I don't know. Pick it up if you like Kanto. If you like Kanto, you'll probably love this. If you don't like Kanto, this one might turn you around. You could probably still wait for the trade paperback, though. All right, Knock 'em Dead #2. A comedian dies in the first issue, and now like he comes back to life with his comedian sort of friend trapped inside him as well. And this is kind of the next part of that series. It's another mini-series, I believe. I'm pretty sure it is. It's good. I like this better than the first issue. I like the covers, and I like the potential of where it's going. It'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, it's like you make a deal with the devil, and something bad's bound to happen, and that's kind of what's going on in this book. Like this guy, really wants to be a comedian, but he's not all that funny, and so he's making deal to try and be funny. So, yeah, it's all right. MODOK Head Games #2. I am enjoying this. This is Patton Oswalt and Bloom and Hepburn. Bloom is co-writing, I believe, and it's MODOK. It's just fun. This is MODOK and Iron Man teaming up to try and like fix MODOK, and they end up having to go to like a super villain convention to try and get something. You know, you have to get the MacGuffin to like fix the person, and it all goes awry, but in an entertaining way. It's funny. It's lighthearted. It kind of reminds me of Nick Spencer when he was writing Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Like that tone of sort of like humor and action and stuff. I'm enjoying it. I know I said that twice, but it's again not perfect. But I know Patton Oswalt's going to be the voice of MODOK in an upcoming like stop motion series. I think this is kind of the precursor to it, and it kind of explains how that weird stop motion thing is actually going to fit into Marvel canon, I believe. And yeah, MODOK has a family, maybe, or he's crazy, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Read it for yourself. All right, Norse mythology. I might be one behind on this, and one might have already come out again this week. I'm not sure. It's Neil Gaiman and Pete Craig Russell and a couple other folks retelling Norse mythology stories that Gaiman told in his book, Norse mythology. It's fun. It's good. It's Loki being Loki, but it's not the Marvel-ish Loki. It's definitely ties back into the old, the Norse mythology a little bit more than the Marvel version of Loki. It's if you enjoy mythology, you'll probably like this. If you enjoy Pete Craig Russell's art and Neil Gaiman's writing together, which they've done a bunch, you'll probably enjoy this. All right. DC Dark Knight's Death Metal #7, the end of everything and the beginning of everything and the wrapping up of. All right. This wrap things up. Ish. Kinda. It's not bad. I know other like YouTubers loved this series and stuff, and it started off, I thought, really entertaining and strong, and then it just kind of fizzled, which I think tends to be the case with events lately. And it's not bad. It's just not, I don't know, a little bit masturbatory and a little bit self-important. And like, part of my problem with this is like, it's like Scott Snyder talking about the importance of storytelling, which, yeah, we get it. We're reading the story. We understand that, we read comics. We understand that blah, 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 blah. Stories are important. And mythology is important. And the mythology of comics has its own thing. And this kind of wraps it all up, kind of. There's a multiverse by the end of it all. Spoilers. Not going to spoil everything, but it's good. It's kind of trying to reset DC, which they seem to try and do every couple of years. All right. Future State Harley Quinn. I enjoyed this one. I have to stop saying enjoyed for every review. I like this. That's better, right? That's a much more accurate way of saying It's Sean Phillips, I believe, and DeMeo. DeMeo, I can't remember the first name is DeMeo, but the co-creator of They Find Them When They're Dead. That artist is also the artist on this, and a fairly similar art style, similar panel style. Harley is locked up, and in order to be unlocked up, she has to help catch criminals that are also running the streets. This takes place in, I believe, the same era as the future state Batman, that time period where the magistrate runs things and masks are illegal and yada yada yada. And this is Harley not being 100% batshit crazy, but off the walls, off the rockers, kind of still wacky, fun, sarcastic-y, but not as annoying as some of the other. That type of character can get real annoying real fast, and this one's treading that fine line. And I like this. I'll keep going with it. I know I'm big commitment. I think it'll only go for one more issue, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. Okay, Batman Annual number 5, The Origin of the Clown Hunter. Everything you think might be the origin of the Clown Hunter probably is. It's James Tynion. His origins are pretty basic. There's not a whole lot to these characters really as far as that goes. It's just enough to give you a motivation. And the motivation is understandable, and it's sort of like the Robin motivation, the Batman motivation, all of that, but it just happens to tie in to the existing characters a bit. There's the revenge. It's the revenge motivation, and the Stocco on the art is great. He did I think Godzilla and Hell and a couple other books. And I like the Clown Hunter. I think he's got some legs. I hope they don't turn him into the next Robin. I just really hope that, because I think he's more interesting off on the side. But there's a chance you can sort of, they're giving you the idea that he might be, but I hope that's a misdirect. Yeah. Or this, I think this is probably my favorite Future State book because it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of them. Wonder Woman. This is Wonder Woman as an actual Amazonian princess in the Amazon. It's written and drawn by Joella Jones, and it ties definitely more into mythology. There's Cerberus and paying the toll to get somebody back from the dead, and going on the river lathe and all that. It's cool. It's just neat, well drawn, fun. Wonder Woman's kind of a badass. Kind of reminds me in the mold of Red Sonja or the more medieval fightery characters. I don't think it has much of it all to do with the current Wonder Woman and stuff. This might be turned into a CW show already. I'm not sure, but I don't care whether or not it is. It's a fun one. Of all of the Future State ones, if you're going to pick one of them up, I'd say try Wonder Woman, which is hard for me to say. Not hard for me to say. The current Wonder Woman kind of bores me, and this I think is a little bit more exciting. So there you go. All right, Star Wars number 10. This is, everyone's buying Star Wars books to spec on now, and I think this might actually have a better spec in it than the High Republic, and it probably less ordered and less picked up. It's decent. It's following up after the last issue where somebody dies, and there's betrayal, there's Star Warsiness, there's the futility of going off on a mission that's probably inevitably going to fail. There's new characters that might get spun off into something else, and I just don't want to wreck it. But it's fun. There's C-3PO being kind of inept. There's droids. There's language. It's neat. It's nifty. I'm enjoying this run of Star Wars. This I like better than the last issue, actually. Charles Soule, he's kind of, I think, running the written side of Star Wars things right now. All right, Kieran Gillen, Assad Ribic. Eternals number 1. Marvel has to do the Eternals book because they're doing the Eternals movie. And this is sort of, I let you know what's going on with Eternals. I need to catch up with the backlog of Eternal stuff. I've not read Jack Kirby's initial run on it and stuff, so I need to at least do that. And I know Neil Gaiman wrote a miniseries, and there was one other miniseries in there too. I think there's 3 miniseries or maxi series. I haven't read any of them. I kind of know who the characters are. The servants of the Celestials, blah 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 blah. They are Eternals, or they die and come back or something. This is Icarus being blunt and Icarus-y. Ikari, yeah, doesn't matter. I'm not gonna keep trying to turn his name into a pronoun, or a adjective. Yeah. Parts of language are hard. I like this a lot. The art, I really, for the most part, enjoyed as well. It's a decent start to this series. Not a ton happens in it. It's the start of a murder mystery ish, and I'm curious to see where it goes. I'll pick it up. Yeah. All right. I Walk with Monsters #2. This series is pretty intriguing to me. They're hunting the main character, whose name escapes me, was abused as a child, and she has a partner that helps her, who actually shapeshifts into a monster. Hence, I Walk with Monsters, and they're chasing after abusers and dealing with them, and so it got some dark tones to it, and it might be triggering for some folks, and it can be a little bit rough, but I think this is I'm very interested to see where this goes. And this issue, not a ton actually happens, but you get more backstory on the main character, which helps. And I want to see what happens next. Sorry, not all these are going to be in depth, they're not all going to be super long reviews, because there's not all. I don't have ways of reviewing all these books without getting into spoilers on them all. So, pick this one up. Okay, Thor #11. Donald Blake is out in the world and being mean, and he meets up with Jane Foster, and they have dinner. The whole thing's a dinner conversation, but don't let that fool you. It's entertaining and romp. Donald Blake is mad because Thor stopped switching with him, and he got trapped in this other realm and went batshit crazy. And now he's out, and he's still batshit crazy, and he's getting revenge and wants to take down all the gods and all the Thors and Asgard. It's because they made him, and they at least trapped him there and made him nuts. So he's on a rampage, and this is a little interlude on that rampage. It's fun. It's not as grandiose a scale as the first arc with the Black Winter, but that's fine. I don't think every arc needs to be that grand. I don't think it can be. And they've managed to make Donald Blake into somewhat of a badass. Not necessarily all that believable, but it's comics. What's believable is kind of that's up to you. And I would say if you've liked Venom, or you've liked anything else 90 Cates has written, pick up Thor. It's worth it. Hellions. Okay, if anything good came out of the Ten of Swords, X of Swords, whatever the hell miniseries, it said it got me reading Hellions, and Hellions is kind of Hellions is like the bastardly C team of X-Men. I need to actually read some of the Wikipedia stuff to get filled in on some of these characters. It's Mr. Sinister, Havoc, and Wild Child, and Nanny, and the Orphan Maker, and Psylocke, and I'm sure I'm missing a few. They're just not characters I'm super familiar with. They all bicker with each other, and they tend to hurt each other quite a bit physically. And it's a fun, twisted romp. They're trying to Orphan Maker came back from the dead, which is an X-Men thing now. You can keep coming back from the dead, which th're going to have to get rid of at some point, or it's going to really be a storytelling crutch for everybody from here on out, I think. But I can't even remember. Orphan Maker's back, and if they don't find a containment suit or something, it can destroy the world theoretically. So they're trying to do that. They run into robots, evil robots, maybe not, just robots, and fun ensues. Okay, here we go. We're getting there, folks. Firepower #, 7 by Kirkman and Samney. Okay, this is what Iron Fist should be, honestly. It's got conspiracies, it's got a secret city, it's got the power of fire instead of the Iron Fist, so it's totally unique. Okay, it's very heavily leading into the Kung Fu mythos and the Iron Man thing, but I think this is just better done, more entertainingly done. Chris Samney's art, while not for everybody, I think is great for this book. He's got a fairly clean line, not a ton of actual detail, but he easily understood fight sequences. The character designs are he managed to make characters look different without using an excess of of inking and an excess of lines. The coloring is great on it. It's this story, not a ton happens, but it's okay. You need these breather issues, and this is a breather issue, but it's still, if you've not been reading Firepower, go pick up the first trade, which will like give you the backstory of what's going on in the current story. Like, it came out, Firepower was weirdly released. It came out as a graphic novel and a free comic book day book on the same day. The free comic book day you can probably still find everywhere. It's free comic book day, and you can either find it for free or very cheap. The free comic book day book takes place well after the graphic novel. Graphic novel is sort of the backstory of the main character and the training and the hidden secrets part of it all. You don't necessarily need that graphic novel, but it really helps, and it's a graphic novel that's worth reading. This current run is the main character has a family, and bad guys are after him, which is about as basic as you can get. If you read that graphic novel, you kind of find out why they're after him. You can probably figure it out without it, but it's all worth getting, I think. And this just continues the twisty-turny fun of it all. So, all right, crossover number 3 with one of the 8 billion Spawn covers. Apparently there's secret video variants where she's reading something else in each one, and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, this is fun. It references Watchmen as far as, like, you know, what happened if comics, like Watchmen, they're saying Watchmen in the like the way they reference Watchmen is they say that Watchmen would be an attempt to tell a story of what happened if, like, comics were in the real world. It's probably not actually true, and this is saying this is what they say. They're like, well, let's find out what really happened. If comic book characters were in the real world, humanity would be the evil dicks and fight back, and these superheroes would have to protect themselves, and that's kind of what happens. Like, the humanity starts fighting these superheroes, and the superheroes to protect themselves bubble them in somewhere, and somehow you can tell them apart because they look pixelated, or they look they have the moire patterns and the dots, the Benway, the comic booky inking dots. I know I should know all this. I do. I just brain fart. So, like, they look like drawn characters because they've got the inking dots as far as their color goes, which wouldn't really work in the real world anyways, but it doesn't matter. It's a comic book. And so they're trying to get this little girl back to be amongst her kind of comic book characters. And this is that journey. And it is tying into other universes, other comic book universes. I don't want to spoil as far as who and how, but I'm liking where this is going. It's Donny Cates again. It's fun. Donny Cates had, you know, if you're gonna call yourself Donny, first of all, you're gonna have to be a fun person. Otherwise, you're just gonna get laughed at. And if you're gonna, like, tell this kind of tale, it has to be kind of over the top and it has to be fun. And that's what this is. It's over the top and it's fun. So I recommend checking it out. All right, finally, my pick of the week, which I have to stop using because I know other folks call their books that. So my winning Winder choice? No, that's awful. My Taylor's top? No, whatever. The comic book I like the best this week is Scout's Honor by Dave Proposa and Lucas Casalanguida. Yeah. Okay, another post-apocalyptic book. Post-apocalypse is the flavor of the day, and it's amongst the indie books. And like, finding a new way to do it is a challenge. And what's going on in this one, without spoiling anything, because they tell you right off the bat, is they don't tell you how the world got wrecked, but they do say, hey, the world's wrecked. And what saved it, or what humanity is now humanity's quote-unquote guidebook through it all, is the Boy Scout manual. So it's a stretch again, but it's a fun stretch. So these humanity's living, and their Bible, their gospel, their way of life all revolves around merit badges and the Boy Scout manual. There's giant mutated creatures. It's kind of, you know, an evil, harsh terrain. Improvising to survive. You get various merit badges if you're good and bad and whatever. It's just a fun idea. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Whether or not it'll sustain and be great, I'm not sure. But again, it's another. This is a very interesting take, I think, on the post-apocalypse, whatever. It's my pick of the week. It's fun. It's evil. It's Mad Max meets the Boy Scouts, kind of. or Walking Dead meets the Boy Scouts, or take your pick of the end of the world scenarios meets Boy Scouts. So there you go. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, the video, I'm not sure, it'll go live sometime on Thursday, I'm sure. And yeah, again, like, comment, subscribe if you like. If not, hit the thumbs down if you hate it. Just interact. Whatever. You can tell me you hate it. I'm a big boy. I can take it. On that note, everybody, have a good rest of your day, and don't be a dick.